Okay, I have to admit, I was actually shocked when I read this prediction from Edgar Cayce, and it has to do with solar flares. And yes, I'm going to give you the reading numbers so you can look this up yourself. But it's the part that we are ignoring about these predictions. Nostradamus, Dolores Cannon, Baba Vanga, especially Dolores Cannon and Edgar Cayce. What's the most important part about these predictions? And we're talking about the solar flares. It's actually Sunday, March 15th that I'm filming this. And supposedly, according to some prophets out there, psychics, today something horrific is going to happen. And I'm going to tell you that everything is exactly the way it should be. I'm going to talk about what's going on our planet, the solar flares, what Edgar Cayce said about them, and March, because this is a big month, obviously, a lot of stuff happening, more going to happen. And I'm going to share with you a dream that I had 2 nights ago. I believe something amazing is coming, but there's something about these solar flares that you're going to want to know. This may shock you, but it's the same message that I give you over and over again. Amazing things are coming. You ready to hear what they are? Let's go. Welcome to Landria, Onkka on YouTube. I'm here to deliver the word. You are a co-creator. We are now in an era that you are no longer the student. If you are in consciousness, you know. You have everything you need. Teachers like myself are only here to help you to use the tools to work with what you already have. There's nothing to get. There's nothing to attract. You are. I am. And Edgar Cayce knew this. And if you believed in Edgar Cayce's readings, and thousands of his readings cured, healed thousands of people, that was his expertise. But he also made thousands of predictions about what's going to happen to our planet. Why did most of them not come true? Well, that's what we're going to talk about today. So we had a major solar flare activity starting in 2025. It actually started before that, but 2025, it actually hit a peak in August, September, December, and we're actually coming out of it. But there's some predictions about something that's supposed to happen this month, a solar flare, some kind of blackout. Well, I'm going to talk to you about that because what Edgar Cayce said about that absolutely shocked me. And I want you to know that we are not going to hell in a handbasket. And if you think that what's happening means that our golden era, our ascension, our enlightenment isn't working, it is the opposite. It's the opposite because events like what's going on out there are not about the person, the president, the governments. It's about the activities taking place that allow us to make other choices. If you were home, you had a job that was okay, you went on your vacation, you had everything in order, you would be motivated to make no changes at all. That's how we've been living. This is pushing us to the brink of a golden era. I want you guys to watch this because I want you to look at yourselves and ask if you are participating in what I'm going to talk about now with the solar flares and actually everything. Please subscribe, like, share my videos because everyone that hears this message, if I get to just one person that realizes that they are co-creators in everything in their life, then we can change the world. Just one person. Because light spreads. It starts, man, and then it keeps going. That's all you have to do is work on this, not try to change that. Are you trying to change that? I'm hearing you guys doing that. Solar cycles in the age of Aquarius. So in reading 1602-3, Cayce pointed to solar cycles as a key driver of the shift from the Piscean to the Aquarian age, describing the transition as gradual rather than cataclysmic, happening across lifetimes, not in a single dramatic moment. So you can relax. And even if we had a big old flare, so we'd have a little screen time down, or we'd have to deal with some electronic issues, but Would that be so bad? I think not. So it's not one dramatic moment, including we've talked about flooding and earthquakes and all these other things. This applies. What I'm going to talk about today applies to all of that too, and it came straight from Edgar Cayce. Let's talk about the sun, pole shifts, and Earth's magnetic field. Cayce predicted a weakening of Earth's magnetic field, which he connected to increasing exposure to solar radiation. I didn't know that. The magnetic field, solar radiation, of course, it's all connected. As the magnetic shield weakens, solar winds can no longer be funneled solely to the poles, making the entire planet more vulnerable to solar energy. There's science behind all of this. But there's also something even more powerful: consciousness that guides that scientific formula or event or experiment, whatever it is. Consciousness is behind all of it. Here's the hopeful twist. Cayce believed that elevated, this is the shocking part. Cayce believed that the elevated human consciousness could actually prevent catastrophic solar events. He suggested that the prayers and positive intentions of even a small number of people could avert disaster. The prayers of 10 may save a city. So those of you are thinking, well, wait a second, we just went into this conflict and then all these other things are happening. This is going down the wrong path. It's the opposite. Why do I say that? Because the extreme of the lower frequencies is the fight to maintain the, and if you watch my last video, I talked about Trump and March. It's the tribal mentality that thinks that it's doing good things. So instead of pointing fingers and everybody's called naming people evil, let's stop labeling anything. No one is any one thing. We are all things. And that person that you're labeling is you. It's one energy field expressing itself in some dark ways and some lighter ways. You get to choose your own path. That pathway that person, organization, government, whatever they're taking, is actually thinking that they're doing something really great because they reside in the basement. And in the basement, the tribal mentality, does this make sense? Tribal mentality says, I'm protecting my people. There's right and wrong. And so we're going to protect what we believe is right. And that's of course, what I think is right and what you think is wrong. That's when we get into trouble. So they're fighting for that, thinking, don't you love me for this? And enlightened people realize conflict is conflict. It doesn't matter what the subject matter is. If you're doing some violent things that separate and harm other people, it's not good. And by the way, let's just talk about what we're doing to our planet here with every time a bomb goes off and it hits her. This is not good. But there's a whole percentage of people who now, because of that, are going into a high awakened state. And I believe that that's what's happening now. And it's actually accelerating the golden era, not taking us down. I believe that because of this, people are being pushed to go to the other side of enlightenment. I can't agree with this anymore. I can't keep doom scrolling and thinking that I'm safe in my home. I have to do something. I have to stop living the way. Conscious Creator Vault's open. Go into my free email list. We have to make choices. I'm going to show you how to do that. Now, let's talk about this solar flare. How does this work? Cayce believed that elevated human consciousness could prevent catastrophic solar events and everything else. I wanted to repeat that. He absolutely, I said, did he address specifically solar flares? I did some research. Yes, he discussed the sun and solar activity, specifically in reading 5757-1, that was June 21st, 1940, given at the 9th Annual ARE Congress. Here's the key quotes. You're going to love this. Sunspots, oh, I love this. Sunspots are a mirror of human consciousness, as are earthquakes, volcanoes, all these other things. But let's deal with the sunspots because we're supposed to be having some stuff going on here right now. Do ye wonder Do we always have to talk like that about do ye? Do ye wonder then that there become reflected upon even the face of the sun those turmoils and strifes that have been and that are the sin of man? 5757-1. Those solar flares are a reflection of, he calls it the sins of man. He was a religious person, but when he went into trance, he didn't talk religious at all. In fact, he talked about reincarnation, which Edgar Cayce actually didn't believe in himself personally. He talked about the Akashic records. He didn't know what those are. So sunspots, a modern Tower of Babel, and I'm going to go into the Babel story because I didn't know what that was. The disruption of communications of all natures between men is what? Remember the story, the allegory, if ye choose to call it such, of the Tower of Babel. This is reading 5757-1. I'm going to tell you what the Tower of Babel story is because I had to learn. I love this. I'm learning. Sunspots are the direct consequence of human turmoil. Then, what are the sunspots? This is a quote. A natural consequence of that turmoil which the sons of God in the earth reflect upon same. Wow. Reading 5757-1. The sun reflects our wars, hate, and injustice, no matter what the cause. Hate, sides, trying to manipulate others to think the way you do, not approving of how others think, how they dress, how they talk. You are in the basement and you don't even see it. This must end if you want to join those in the penthouse and the new era. As ye do it unto the least, you do it unto thy maker. Christ said that. This you do to the least of us, you do to me, the least of us. Now I want you to remember this, that horrible person or group or organization or corporation you hate, you think they're the least of us, they're the scum of humanity. That which you do to them, you do to me, the maker. Judging, hate, anger, separation. Doesn't matter if they're here or they're sort of awakened or they're enlightened. That you do to the least of us. What are you doing? How are you thinking? Do you have hate? I hear some of you speaking hate and taking sides and giving some big explanations. The story to me is irrelevant. The response is everything. And everything you're seeing right now allows you to choose a response. And everything's about your response, not what's going on. It's about your response because you can stop those solar flares. You can stop the earthquakes and the floods because your response is love. It is absolutely compassionate, beautiful, shining your light, and still you will feel the pain of the planet. As ye do unto the least, ye do unto thy maker, even as to the sun which reflects those turmoils that arise with thee, even as the earthquake, even as wars and hates. Earthquakes, wars, and hates. It's all in the same basket, my friend. Edgar Cayce had some fascinating and quite unusual things to say about solar activity. Just on its own, put aside all the cataclysmic events that he foresaw that have not happened. Does that tell you we have made progress? Do not give it up. Do not get sucked in. So this is your test. Oh, this is happening over here. Yeah? Hello, you get tested big time now. Can you remain in a neutral position and in love? Neutral means that you don't always have to be right because none of us has all the answers. None of us can possibly know everything. You think you do? Come on my channel. Tell the world. We'll line up if you've got all the answers because everybody has all the answers because everyone's right. Cayce's most distinctive solar teaching was essentially the reverse of mainstream science. Solar activity, like sunspots and flares, are actually a response to conditions on Earth. This is according to Cayce. The reading that I referred to at the 9th Annual Congress, he was asked about the cause of sunspots. He was asked there, what are the sunspots? A natural consequence of that turmoil which the sons of God and the earth reflect upon same. Everything is reacting directly to our consciousness because it's shared and because it's one. So what does this ultimately mean? In other words, he believed human conflict, hatred, spiritual disorder cause solar disturbances, not the other way around. All right? Anything you fear, we are designed, we are programmed to fear. Fear is a low frequency. What does that do? It keeps us in disempowerment. The minute you give it up, you're going to high frequency, and anything is possible there. Why isn't it possible down here? Because you're dictating something different. You're dictating limitations and hate and anger. So it's giving that to you. You're not being punished. You're doing it. How do you get out of that? People said, Landria, tell me how to get out of it. I have 2,000 videos telling you how to get out of it. It takes work. Meditation, shut the thinking down. Every thought is creating, verbalizing it, reinforces it. The actions, the beliefs, take it to the next level. And the more you do that, the more it shows up in the physical world. So let's talk about the story of the Tower of Babel. Cayce warned that sunspots cause disruption of communications of all kinds between people, comparing the effect to the biblical story of the Tower of Babel, a breakdown of understanding and connection. So the Tower of Babel, it's a short but rich story from the Bible, Genesis 11, 1 through 9. And it's a great one to know. Here's the full picture. All right, so if you're not familiar, this is pretty cool. The narrative takes place after Noah's flood. And at that time, all of humanity supposedly spoke a single language and lived together. Wow, would that be cool? They decided to build a great city with a tower reaching to the heavens, not just as an engineering feat, but as a statement of human ambition and self-sufficiency, wanting to make a name for themselves and avoid being scattered across the earth. God, observing this, of course, they're looking at this a little different than we do now. God, observing this, said something remarkable. If as one people speaking the same language, they have begun to do this, then nothing they plan to do will be impossible for them. Because if you're speaking the same language and you are one and there's no separation, you've gone back to one consciousness. How cool. Nothing is impossible for them. Rather than letting this continue, God confused their language so they could no longer understand each other. I'm not going with that one. I think we did it ourselves. The project collapsed, the people scattered across the earth, and the unfinished city was named Babel, meaning confusion in Hebrew. I like these little sky is falling kind of stories, but I think there's something much bigger in there. In other words, I think things are designed to challenge us. I think that we choose separation. I think that we go into darkness so that we can know light, and that we can go back into the light anytime we choose, and that's what's happening now. We must come back as one, and it doesn't mean we have to speak the same language, but the communications, the story was about the communications. Cayce used the Tower of Babel as a metaphor for a very specific idea, the breakdown of communication and understanding between people. Here's the parallel he was drawing. In the biblical story, a unified humanity loses its ability to understand one another, not because of a physical disaster, not because of pride, ego, and overreach. Cayce believes sunspot activity creates a similar effect on Earth, disrupting not just radio signals and technology, but the deeper human ability to connect, empathize, and truly understand one another. Well, we are electromagnetic fields, right? Of course, we're putting one out, we're picking up. There's no division between this. For Cayce, solar disruptions were essentially the universe reflecting back the same disconnection and confusion that humans were already creating through conflict and spiritual disorder. So the Babel reference was his way of saying when humans are already spiritually fragmented and self-centered, solar activity amplifies that fragmentation. Communications break down, misunderstandings multiply, and people feel more isolated. I suggest that you go into meditation, prayer, and send light to this planet every chance you get. We can turn it all around. None of that has to happen. We're in the decline of the solar flares. All right? We're past the worst of it and nothing happened. Are you ready for this? Because we can do this with absolutely everything, including the conflict. When we set light and love, there will be people who put down weapons and they don't know why they did. There will be people who help others that they normally wouldn't, that they might hate. Why? They're picking up on a collective and they're making their own decision within it. We can't stop that. You can't manipulate other people. Manipulation is done through example. Be the example of the love. So the Cayce connection in a nutshell, we're exactly where we're supposed to be. These extreme events are pushing us to make an extreme decision and choice the other way. If you get caught up in it, you will live in that old earth. You'll be taking sides and tribes and saying, oh, we knew this president would, blah, blah, blah. And how's that contributing in a positive way? There will always be somebody who challenges. There's always going to be a leader who does something that is going to teach us that we need to make different choices. There's always going to be somebody in your life that's going to teach you. This is why we came here. Without it, it's like, what's the purpose? And by the way, it continues. It never stops till you leave the planet. Your ego is always going to be a part of this. So that's why you get challenged, because you're still going to have a tendency to go back to right and wrong. And then you start to understand somebody's story if you really sat down, what they were taught, what their patterns are, what's the programming, what they believe. You might get into the head of where they're coming from, and it might make some sense. People don't do stuff just for the heck of it. They have a history that was taught by their history, and we have to break that chain. And that's your job. So whether you like how somebody dresses or speaks, or you should do it this way, and Landria should shoot another video for this, can we just show gratitude and say, thank you for what you did give me? And if you don't agree, that's okay. Let's be the co-creators and solution makers. What are you doing? I have a petition I'm going to look up and I'm going to post it on to end factory farming. Let's start speaking up. Let us stop consuming that which destroys the planet and others. So what made Cayce's worldview unusual and compelling to his followers was this feedback loop between human consciousness and cosmic events. The Tower of Babel story fit perfectly into that framework. It's a story where human behavior directly triggers a disruption in communication and collective understanding. Cayce simply extended that idea outward to the sun itself. So let's see what happens. Now we have Chris Bledsoe, who communicates with the Golden Lady, and supposedly something might happen between the 15th and 20th. This is going to be interesting. He also thought that maybe something would happen in October. Nobody has exact dates. We can't know dates. Why? Because consciousness and choices within it are moving targets at every split second. And we can turn it around. So that's proof that it's not going to necessarily happen unless we contribute toward that reality, toward that timeline. Let's go into higher dimension, my friend. Let the anger go. If you're having distress of any kind, you're in lower frequency. It's just that simple. You can have anxiety. You can have, worry and sadness in a different way, because high frequencies, there's a sadness in seeing pain. We don't go into euphoria and just say, oh, we're feeling all good, and then we watch this and we're okay with it. We're not okay with it. But we don't go into conflict with it. We go into the peace and resolution, the sending the light and the love, the meditation, because when you start here, you affect everything, and then your actions will absolutely support this new way of life. So in conclusion, if you're wondering, when we really had some real solar flares in July 2012, a massive coronal mass ejection barely missed Earth. NASA estimated it would have caused 2 trillion in damage and set civilization back centuries. So yes, it can do damage, but it didn't do that then either. Our magnetic field is weakening. What do I equate that to? I equate it to the veils coming down. I believe it is a direct reflection of the veils that protected us. They're coming down because we access absolutely everything. And go in here, you have all the answers. You don't need a tarot card reader or a channeler or anybody else that is affected by their own ego is absolutely a part of that. You hold all the answers. You are the power. You are the co-creator. You are perfect. You are amazing. Your pockets are loaded with jewels. You just haven't reached in there and pulled them out because I wear a tattered robe. No, they're lined with jewels. This is how it works. This isn't who you are. This inside is loaded with miracles, and you're on the brink of them. You want to know if you're really enlightened? You won't even want to talk anymore. There's nothing to say. It's called the knowing. You guys have read my book. You stop talking. You don't have to have conversations or argue. You don't have to have any of those discussions. Why? Because you just know. I am that. I am. So the 3 days of darkness, I guess we get to choose if it's going to occur or not, including everything else on this planet. Are you ready to turn things around and allow those who are making lower choices to play out their journey? We're not going to stop or change them. We can only do it with shining light. So again, I hope you'll subscribe. Please share this video of hope, of empowerment, of I am, and that there is a golden era happening right now. You get to choose your reality. What do you believe? The universe says, yes, you are whole and perfect, strong and powerful, loving, harmonious, and happy. And again, those of you who want some really great resources, go down in the description where you can support businesses who are doing the right thing for the planet. Non-toxic, no plastic, no garbage in what they're producing. And then landria.com, free inspiration will take you into my email list, free webinars, and also the Conscious Creator Vault. Every 30 days, we have 3 pillars that we go after, and we start to implement the steps in the new earth. And don't overwhelm yourself. It's baby steps in a world that we've been told is nowhere near what it's capable of. I'll see you in the next video, my friend. You're beautiful. You're perfect, exactly the way you are. You ready? Let's go. Namaste.